everybody. So autumn was canceled in Texas this year, and it still very much feels like summer here in November, which honestly, like, I'm not even mad about that. So it is still crop top season here. In the previous video, I pulled out 5 tops from my closet that I was no longer wearing, and I started transforming them into cute little crop tops. So first, I turned a blue tank top into 2 cute crop tops, and then I transformed one of my gray t-shirts into its cuter version. In this video, I'm going to turn this Johnny Cupcakes t-shirt into its sleeveless cropped variant. Then I'm going to take this Cami that I've already thrift flipped once, like 20 years ago, into a cropped puff sleeve top. And lastly, I'm going to take this California top that actually used to be a t-shirt like 20 years ago, and I'm going to just dissect it and salvage it as much as I can and hopefully turn it into some kind of a crop top. All right, let's give these old clothes a new life.
I began by folding the t-shirt about 1.5 inches below the bottom of the graphic, and I chopped off the bottom. I trimmed the bottom a bit to give it a slight curve. To further optimize this top for Texas, I used a tank top that I like to mark where to chop off the sleeves. As always, I never let trash go to where it belongs, no matter how useless or damaged it is. So I cut thin strips from the bottom section which I chopped off earlier to use as trim for the armholes. I ironed the trash strips into a tri-fold and I pinned them throughout the perimeter of the armholes. Then I used a cover stitch machine to finish the trim. Next, I pinned the sides together and I closed them with a serger overlocker. And lastly, I finished the bottom hem with a cover stitch, and this top is finished. Now onto the white cami. I began by undoing the decisions that the past me has made, and I seam ripped the lace trim off from the bottom. Then I separated the front and the back half from each other, and I reattached them in such a way that would allow me to make armhole cutouts in the back that are analogous to those in the front. I closed the sides of the front and the back together with a serger overlocker. And I cropped the top and finished the hem with a cover stitch. Now onto the sleeves. As always, rather than properly planning things out, I just get obsessed with an idea in my imagination and I go full speed at making it happen via the F around and find out method. To make the puffy sleeves, I chopped the lacy fabric in half and just left that as my sleeve width. Then I figured I should scrunch it up at the shoulder, so I double folded the hem to about 1.5 inches and I sewed it with 2 parallel straight stitch seams that were about 1 centimeter apart. That created a channel through which to insert an elastic. I estimated the length of the elastic I would need based on the height from the top of the shoulder using one of my sweaters as a reference. Using a safety pin, I threaded the elastic through the channel and I sewed the ends of the elastic into place. I used the same sweater to estimate the length of the sleeves and I chopped off the excess. I folded over the hem on the bottom part of the sleeve to about 1.5 inches and I pinned it down. I figured the sleeve would look like balloons if I just had them cinched at the top and the bottom, so I decided to add another channel for the elastic at the elbow. To make the channel, I used the trimmed off pieces to cut 1.5 inch wide strips and I folded these strips on both sides and I pinned them to the sleeve at the halfway point. On the bottom hem of the sleeve, I again sewed 2 parallel straight stitches to create a channel for the elastic, and I attached the elbow elastic channel with 2 parallel straight stitches as well. And this is how they turned out. Now it's time to add the elastic. I measured out the length of the elastic by wrapping it around my wrist and my elbow, and I used the safety pin to pull the elastic through the channels that I've made. Once the elastic was in, I secured its ends into place by sewing them with a few stitches. Then I folded the sleeve in half and I pinned it to prepare for serging the seam. I left enough of the sleeve open at the top to attach it to the armholes, and I used my serger overlocker to close the sleeve. I made a shallow diagonal cut on the sleeve at the top to ensure that the sleeve fits well into the armhole of the top. And I pinned the sleeve to the top at the armhole area and I attached the sleeves using a serger overlocker. And voila, the puffy sleeve top is finished. Now onto the California top. While it was hard to cut up something that's been part of my life for so long, the hope that it would be transformed into something better gave me the courage. I cut 4 diagonal strips from the back portion of the top to use as trim for the new top. Then I carefully and symmetrically cut out the graphic from the front, and I decided to make the new tank top out of this gray cotton knit scrap that I've had for a while. I traced my favorite crop t-shirt to get the shape of the new tank top. In hindsight, that was not a great idea because the pattern made the tank top a bit too wide in the armpit area. The depth of the neckline was pretty much determined by the length of the strip which I planned to use as trim for it. Once satisfied with the shape, I cut it out. After I ironed my trim strips into trifold, I pinned the trim to the neckline. Normally the neckline would be trimmed with a single piece, but because I'm using upcycled trim, I only had enough length in each trim piece for half of the total neckline. I attached the finished trim using a cover stitch machine. Now it's time to add the main piece of the top, the California graphic. I aligned the rectangular fabric piece containing the graphic on the front of the tank top and I pinned it into place. To attach the graphic piece, I used a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, which actually did not work out so well at all. It's because I have a pretty low-end sewing machine and it does not have a differential feed, so when I'm sewing knit fabrics with it, it ends up ruffling them. But whatever, I got it done. It's not fast work, but it's fine. Next, I pinned the front and the back halves of the top together at the shoulders with the help of this needy baby. And I sewed them together with a serger overlocker. Now that the armholes are ready, I trimmed them with the remaining trim strips. And I used a cover stitch machine to secure the trim into place. To prepare the top for the side seams, I aligned the front and the back half together inside out and I pinned the sides together. And someone just could not resist indulging herself in this new top. I sewed the side seams using a serger overlocker. And lastly, I folded the bottom hem about 1/2 inch and I pinned it into place. Then, to complete this top, I finished the hem with a cover stitch. And now, let me show you how these tops turned out. This is what the Johnny Cupcakes t-shirt looked like before, and this is what it looks like now as a cropped sleeveless top. I probably could have made it more flattering by taking in the sides a little bit more, but the wide fit actually allows for maximal air circulation, which is highly desirable during the Texas heat. Also, please excuse my weird tan lines from the swimsuit near my belly button. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this top turned out, and it wasn't super hard to do, so I give this a 7 out of 10 probably. Next is the white cami. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now as a puff sleeve top. I absolutely love how this top turned out. It looks so feminine and romantic. And fun fact, I wore this in Paris already and a man literally stopped me on the street and was like caressing my sleeves and telling me how beautiful my top is. Or maybe he was talking about me, I'm not sure, but he definitely liked my top. I feel so pretty in this top. I should have been sewing stuff like this earlier, but in all honesty, I didn't have the confidence to be feminine when I was younger. Thanks to childhood trauma. Shout out to the ones who made me feel ugly for most of my life. But it's all good. I've definitely been stepping into my feminine energy lately. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for this top. I love the shape, I love the sleeves, I love how it makes me feel very satisfied. And lastly, this is what the California tank top looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. I think it's pretty cute. I mean, it's definitely a whole new top, a total reincarnation of the specter of its former self, but it's nice. I like how sporty it looks with the contrasting trim, and the color combination of gray and this muted, mild green color is pretty pleasant to the eye, I think. It's cozy, it's breathable, and great for the warm weather, but I'm a bit hesitant to wear this in Texas for obvious reasons. I give this a 5 out of 10. It's moderately cute, but it was actually a lot of effort to make it.
Thank you guys so much for watching another one of my upcycling endeavors. And with 2024 coming to an end, I would like to proudly report that I did not buy any clothes at all this year. Like, I didn't thrift anything. I didn't buy any new clothes. I just sewed stuff out of the fabric that I had, or I upcycled the pieces that were already in my closet. And in 2025, I'm going to make the same commitment. I'm not going to buy any new clothes, and I'm going to just continue sewing and like upcycling. And in fact, I think I'm going to try to downsize my closet, and I'm going to use data analysis to do that. And I'll probably make a video about that. And with 2025 just a few days away now, I would like to encourage all of you to make the same commitment. Try to not buy any new clothes for a whole year. And it's not even as hard as it seems. And meanwhile, I hope that my videos will encourage and inspire you to try to upcycle the clothes that are already in your closet. And with that, I will be seeing you in the new year. Goodbye.